7:40 the time now. For many, it is a disgusting habit, but in the past, pubs had special troughs just for the purpose. We are talking about spitting.
It was commonplace until the 19th century. But now 2 men in East London have been fined for spitting in the street under strict local litter laws. Other councils are thinking of banning it too.
This is the second person caught spitting here within an hour.
Just seen you commit an offence of littering by spitting. Okay.
Waltham Forest issues tickets for it, like littering or parking. This man told the officer he spat because he was unwell.
What you've said to me, you could use that as a basis for your appeal. Okay.
Those who refuse to pay will be taken to court. 2 men were caught spitting here in February, but challenged the fine. Each was ordered to pay £160, twice the original fine of £80. But spitting wasn't always seen as disgusting.
Sitting the ex-head keeps it as keen as the girls are themselves. That's for luck.
Footballers might be criticised for it today, but politicians used to spit in Parliament. But once spitting became associated with being a health risk, feelings about the habit started to change.
Something drastically could be done, for people to stop such a bad habit.
Is £80 fine is too much money for a bit of spit on the floor.
It's a horrible thing to do on the street anyway.
Thank you very much.
The legal ruling in London could mean that spitting isn't just a bad habit to be frowned upon, but something that deserves a fine. Aisling McVeigh, BBC News.
Let's talk about this now with sociologist Professor Roos Coomber, who's in Plymouth, and William Hanson, who's an expert on etiquette. Very good morning, gentlemen. Possibly we could start with Professor. Professor of Sociology, I mean, this is about, I suppose people say it's about basic manners, but now it's been taken into a different realm because people are being fined. £80 on the spot fine. These gentlemen were charged more because they didn't pay on the spot. So, do you think this is the way to go about combating what many people think is a disgusting habit?
Well, I think for me the issue is that whilst most people, almost everybody, thinks it's a disgusting habit, and whilst almost everybody probably feels that it should be constrained in some way or another, it is the case that there are some councils that are looking at this issue and looking to ban it and fine people who have never even had a complaint made to them. So the issue really becomes one of whether spitting is as prevalent as people say, not whether people are disgusted by it.
Is it ever acceptable to spit in public? Because there are countries where actually it's seen perhaps as a cleansing of the system and natural bodily action.
Yes, and I work a lot in China, and almost every 2 minutes on a street there is somebody there spitting. It's not really etiquette in China, but it is sort of the unwritten rule, whereas over here, certainly in Britain, most people with half a brain cell know that actually spitting is pretty disgusting in public. If you have to clear your throat for whatever reason, you take out a handkerchief or a tissue and you do it into that and then discard it in a bin. But just spitting onto the side of the pavement is absolutely awful.
Do you think then that people should be fined for it? Simply because it's
Yes.
awful?
Yes, because it is not the sign of a civilised society. Anyone who claims to be civilised cannot just suddenly spit in the middle of the pavement in front of other people. Even if there aren't people necessarily behind them, there will be people watching.
Professor, given what we're saying there about, I mean, everyone seems to accept that everyone thinks it's disgusting. So what is your reasoning for why people do it? Is it a deliberate gesture, if you like, of kind of defiance or aggression? What is happening if most of us know that it's disgusting and someone chooses to do it anyway?
Well, there's a number of issues there. I think in the West, in the UK, in particular in America, for many people it is all of those things. But the notion of civilization and civility as something that is universal and something that can be imposed upon cultures universally is more questionable. And spitting is not only acceptable in many cultures, and indeed for billions of people, it's actually just part and part of their daily life. It's not acceptable because they don't think about it. It's not unacceptable because they don't think about it. So really the issue is where in the world you are, what type of culture you're living within, and what type of people you are.
But I suppose, but it all boils down to what you do individually. I just wonder, well, what do you do, Professor? If you're out shopping Saturday afternoon and you're picking something up and someone spits right in front of you, I mean, is it your mindset to say, do you mind? That's disgusting. What do you do?
Well, look, you know, I mean, I've grown up here in the West where behaviours and taste and etiquette are different, and therefore I'm much more familiar with all everyday normative practices here. However, you know, there are groups of people who have grown up within a certain style of living, who still spit more regularly than other people do. But you know, we shouldn't forget that many of these are middle-class cyclists, middle-class runners, and they just spit in a slightly different way that we consider to be more acceptable. But personally,
but back to the original question, what do you do personally? I mean, would you raise it? Would you say to someone, please don't?
I see.
Would you do that?
No, I wouldn't. I would tend not to do that. Not because I would feel that this was problematic behaviour, but because there are many problematic behaviours we're confronted with every day, and for me to impose that on somebody could be problematic in a range of ways.
William, would you tell anyone?
Oh, yes. I mean, if someone did it in front of me, I would say, oh, you know, charming, thank you very much indeed, or tackle it like that. I mean, you do have to be careful, obviously, when you tackle people for doing, you know, dropping litter or spitting or whatever, because we've heard stories of it going very, very wrong. But, you know, generally, if they look and it's surprising that actually who does it. It is generally in public people that do look actually quite up together, and you think, oh, they probably wouldn't do that, that actually do it, and that's probably more surprising. It's not necessarily the stereotypical type of person that does it. Obviously, what the footballers are doing on the side of football pitches doesn't help, because it gives the impressionable generation, they think, oh, well, my hero's doing it, then of course it's okay. And there is no excuse that footballers to do it. You know, they can take out, they've got pockets in their things, they can take out a little handkerchief.
I think that would be
spit into that.
Thank you both very much indeed.